This holiday season, give her a true pumpkin latte. With Tactical Soap, pheromone-infused soap for men, proud channel sponsor of 21 Studios. I'm Anthony Dream Johnson, and I approve this soap. Order now at the link below. Use coupon code 21C for 10% off now.
George Bruno in Orlando with the 21 Report. And we're talking now with Jack Donovan. How was your experience so far with the 21 convention?
Oh, great. I mean, it's bigger than last year. There's really good energy with a lot of people. And I just like it because it's a very positive direction.
There's people here who want change.
Yeah, absolutely. They want to change their lives. And that's important because a lot of people don't.
Yeah, you didn't have to twist anyone's arm to be here.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah. You know, when I walked in for a second, I was just telling you, because I know you can't see the audience because of the bright lights, but I was standing in the audience and looking at everyone, and as you were moving, everyone's eyes and heads were moving as you were moving on the stage. People were captivated by you. So to me, that's a great metric that you have people's attention.
Yeah.
That's super important. What is your main message for human beings?
Well, I don't really talk to human beings. I talk to men. A friend of mine always said that you should differentiate between the two. But for men, for years, I've been talking about what masculinity is.
Yes.
And I think that's really important because they have a lot of messages coming to them, telling them what masculinity is, but it's really just someone trying to control them in some one way or another. Whether it's cultural things like religion, but that's kind of the old thing. That it doesn't really give people masculinity as much as it had in the past. I mean, now they're getting things from the media, and they're getting messages from women and feminism telling like real man does this or real man does that, and it's really like whatever women want or whatever the media wants, and whatever someone who wants you to buy something wants. And so I thought it was really important because men had a really hard time defining masculinity, to kind of do the mental work of figuring it out. I mean, a lot of people mistake where I'm coming from, and they think that maybe, like they expect me to be like a special forces guy or something, and I know a lot of those guys. But The Way of Men, really, which is kind of my main book, is it was more of a logic problem of sitting down and parsing out like what, is this masculinity? Is this always masculinity? Is this only masculinity in this culture? And really taking it apart to get kind of really an essential masculinity. And I think a lot of people have really resonated with that. A lot of men have said, you wrapped up what I couldn't articulate. And so that's, I think, just defining masculinity is, I think, maybe my greatest, contribution to this going forward. And then, for masculinity, it led to tribalism. When I started to talk about masculinity in The Way of Men, and a lot of actually an evolutionary psychologist, I believe, saw that I was missing something that science was missing, in that men select each other. They always orient everything in terms of male and female selection, and that's what changes everything because talking about reproduction. But to get access to women, men select each other. Who gets to be on the football team that gets the one. And that's a huge social dynamic that I think a lot of people missed.
I never thought of that before. That's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. So to impress women, sometimes you have to impress other men.
Yeah.
As well, to be part of that group that then attracts them.
Yeah.
And I think historically, now, I mean, we're a very, atomized society, and a lot of people are just individuals on their own floating around, and maybe that isn't as true as it has been. But, throughout, our human beings history, I think that it was very much about men selecting each other in this male tribal idea. So in terms of that, I moved from masculinity to tribalism, and talking about what that really means and what it means to be part of a tribe, because it's kind of a marketing buzzword. I have a tribe. Well, no, you have a mailing list.
Okay.
You know, that's different.
There's a difference.
Yeah, there's a huge difference.
Okay.
And so I talked a lot about tribalism, in my book, Becoming a Barbarian. And so it's all been a little arc for me. And but at the end of the day, I also realized that we aren't, in ancient times, and we aren't fighting for survival necessarily. And it was really about helping men right now be the best versions of themselves that they could be. And taking all this background of history and our evolutionary background and everything, and incorporating that in a way that can help them move forward and just become the best men that they can be. Mm-hmm. And the last book that I wrote, Becoming a More Complete Beast, it involves a lot of Nietzschean philosophy in terms of overcoming this anger that a lot of men have in society.
Right.
And moving toward a creative place.
It seems like that's a common theme in the past couple years, being the best version of yourself. Mm-hmm. And I think even without saying anything, like I find myself when I'm sitting next to Jack Donovan, I'm sucking my stomach in, and my shoulder, it's just a natural thing. Mm-hmm. And it's not a competition. Yeah. It's almost like you are raising the bar with the way you look, and I'm sitting up straighter because of you.
All right, great.
And I think that's the effect, even without even opening your mouth. Mm-hmm. And then add to that your words and your concepts, and I think we have something good going on. Let me ask you this. Mm-hmm. Let's say a plane crashes or a ship sinks and 100 men are survivors and they swim to a desert island. Mm-hmm. Will tribes form on that island?
Oh, absolutely.
Tell me about that. How does that naturally happen?
Yeah, I think that's the example that I always use, which is very similar to that, is that was very popular a few years ago. Now it's kind of past peak, but the zombie apocalypse and what happens if there were zombies surrounding the building or whatever. If there's an external threat, we have a problem to solve, and then we have to figure out who are the best people to help solve that problem.
Yes,
and that's one of the ways that men select each other.
Yes,
is like, so if we you crash on the desert island. And who's the guy who can figure out how to make, find or make food?
Yeah.
So he's going to be very important all of a sudden.
Yeah.
He may not have been important on the ship, but he's very important now, and so he's going to have a higher status.
Yeah.
And the guy who can hunt the wild pig, Lord of the Flies style. That's that's the guy that's going to be important in a certain way. And somebody who has a lot of know-how. It's the virtue mastery that I talk about in my book is that very important in that kind of situation. And obviously, if there are competing tribes on the island, if there's a war between the two factions, then those kind of skills become important. Mm-hmm. And so I think that just competing for resources creates a tribal environment. And also, I always say about when people ask me about creating a tribe in the modern world. You're really picking your best friends. And to a certain extent, it's about human relationships as well. Mm-hmm. Because, someone could have all the skills in the world, but you just don't like him.
Yeah.
You just don't get along. And so, a different tribe could form because of that. Because there's, personalities don't mix. Mm-hmm. And so I think there's a lot of, ways that would naturally happen. I don't think that, because you're going to have a cooperative group, and that's what that really is. It's a tribe of shared resources.
Mm-hmm. I've heard it said that when it comes to survival, and like you said, men need the approval or seek the approval or are approved by other men in order to get women and so forth, and to dispel rumors and misconceptions about the 21 Convention. It's not 4 days of how to get women. It's 4 days of excellence, to be a well-rounded man. Whereas I heard some people say that when it comes to women, and we're not women bashing at all in any way, some people said that many times women getting together is like the crabs in a bucket thing, where they're pulling each other down. Yeah. I'm happy to see guys push each other up here. And I'm witnessing it with my eyes. I'm seeing it. I'm seeing people throw the gauntlet down for excellence for other people, and men have that effect on other men?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's, there's that kind of mentor relationship that you have, and also, men compete naturally, and so, when you in your room, you walk into a room and there's a guy who's, has some obvious, standout qualities. If they want to feel comfortable in that room, maybe next year they're going to have more of those qualities.
Yes.
I want to be a higher status member of that group. Well, what does that mean? And so you find out all these qualities that you're identifying, that what it means to be high status in this particular group, and then that's how a little culture forms, really. But it's always great to see men actually encouraging each other, because there is a lot of it's the opposite of the internet, right? The internet, it's always like someone standing in line somewhere, and that's always, imagine all comments on the internet actually happen, or someone standing in line bored somewhere, and they see something they don't like, and they make a rude comment about it.
Yeah.
And that makes them feel better because they're mad that they're standing in line.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's how the entire internet works. And so there's this constant process of tearing people down. And I think that, when you come together in a group of people who are trying to build people up, it's very inspiring.
In business, we like to say that you're the average of the 5 people you hang out with the most. And now that most of us are fairly antisocial, and our eyeballs are more on a screen than with people, I kind of took that statement and I said, you're the average of the 5 content creators you watch the most. How is, if someone's watching you, they're watching Richard Cooper, you know what I mean? I find that even just watching higher level, excellent content creators helps me step up my game. But what's the danger of having virtual people? How is that a dangerous thing, or is that a good thing? To be the average of the 5 content creators you watch the most?
Well, I don't know if you really are or you're not, in terms of, I would love to say that I'm the average of, the 5 excellent people that I watch, but I don't know if that's necessarily true. But you do gain something from that. And I don't think it's bad, but it does have to be supplemented with the real world relationships. I think that, the actual feedback from, watching someone who's talking online versus virtually actually dealing with them in real life is a little bit different. But it's not to say that the online stuff isn't worthwhile, because, I watch people, I would say, they're dudes I follow every day, just so that I, feel weak and fat. To keep me motivated.
Right.
I could be doing better.
Right.
I could be doing more. I could be doing better. And I think that's very that's very motivating. And a close friend of mine who puts out so much work, and I'm like, how do you keep doing that every morning? How do you keep processing so much? Because I work a lot slower than he does, and he inspires me, and I know him in person, so it's both.
Yeah.
But my friend Paul, he puts out so much content and is always doing something. And I feel like I do a lot of things, but he shows me that I can always do more.
Sure.
So it's very inspiring in that way.
We need people like that in our lives.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right, so there's someone sitting on a couch right now.
Right.
And they're watching this on their iPhone.
Right.
And this video is going to be forever in the future. And that person is stuck. They don't know where they're going a year from now, let alone 5 years from now. They're in despair. That man just feels like a loser. He might have been divorced. He might have gotten fired. He feel like, as Cooper says, he feels like he's not making a dent in the universe. Speak to that man right there. What are the first things that man needs to do?
Someday, you're going to die. And do you want to die on the couch? Is basically what I would say. Your life is up to you. It's the only one that you have. And you can either take control of it and, kind of envision what you want to be. And as confining as the modern world can be, you have a lot of opportunity to create a vision for yourself. Whatever crazy idea that you have in your head of who you want to be, you can actually kind of do that in modern life. Now, you may not be able to, run through the streets hacking people's heads off. That's probably not well, it's not going to last long. But there's so many, outlets for information. You can find a YouTube video on how to do anything that you want to do. All you have to do is decide to do it. And I think that you can really, whatever life that you want to lead, whatever life that you wanted to lead, you can actually find the information very quickly, more quickly than you ever could in history, and find the tools that you need to become that person. People, whether it's your diet, people always say, I wish I knew how to do this. Well, the information is right there. All you have to do is find it. Find the person that does what you want to do and looks how you want to look and do what they're doing. And if that doesn't work, find the next person. And the same is true with anything in life, whether it's business or whatever. You want to make more money. There's people who will tell you how to do that. And then you have to evaluate how really good they are at doing that themselves. And, the information is there. So it's up to you. I mean, it's your responsibility. It's your life. You can die on the couch. You can, covered in Cheeto dust or whatever. But that can happen. And you'll live and die with that. Or you have this one chance. My friend Paul that I mentioned, we both have this. He asked me this question one time. If you could live any time in history, when would you live? And I'm like, I'm doing pretty good right now, so now's good. And we both felt the same way because we were both having a lot of success in life, and now's good. This is the only time we get. You can't actually go back and live any time in history. So this is your now. This is the time that you have, and this is our time. So you can take it or not.
Powerful stuff. That's the second time I heard about dying on the couch today. Yeah. Powerful, powerful. You can be found on Instagram at starttheworld and jack-donovan.com.
Yes, Donovan. People always spell it with an A.
Ah, excellent. George Bruno for the 21 Report in Orlando, Florida. Thank you, Jack Donovan.
All right, thank you.